Good morning. Myself, Umesh. I came here to take up the classes of modern Indian history. So when it comes to me, I'm basically an engineering graduate. Okay, by profession I'm an engineer. I graduated from BITS Pilani, okay, back in 2009. Then after that I prepared for civil service examination. So I gave a couple of interviews myself. Then after that I came into teaching, and earlier I used to teach in Bangalore in an institute called Insights on India. Now currently I'm teaching both in Hyderabad and Bangalore, okay, and I have started taking classes with Shubhranjan ma'am too. So this is about me. So I think I got to know from the institute side that okay, some sections of the syllabus have been done for you. Like I think so that polity is done for you, right? I mean, at least for some candidates, polity is done. For some, geography is also, I think, partly done. So we are going to take up a new section today, that is modern Indian history. Okay, modern Indian history, I'm going to take it up. So please. I just want to start my class with a very, very simple question. Okay, what do you mean by history? What is the meaning of history? Okay, showing the past events is history. Yes? Okay, so but do we remember every event of history? Every person's story do we remember? We can't, right? So what do we study in history then? What is history? Okay, so you are saying that there are some significant events in the past, okay, that we traditionally tend to remember in a chronological format. Okay, so that is what history is according to, okay, significant events. Yes, but who is going to determine that which event is significant and which is not significant? Which event is significant in past and which event is not significant in the past? Who usually determines which event is significant? The historians determine, okay, but do they do it according to their own personal interests? Not at all, right? So usually history is nothing but it is a chronological remembrance of significant events of the past, but the events that we remember, they should be relevant to the present times. Okay, so only if they are relevant to the present times, then we usually tend to remember them. आप लोगों को समझ में आ रहा है ना? So it means that we have to remember the significant events of the past, but the events should be relevant for today, then only it is considered to be proper history. Are you following what I'm trying to say? But what is relevant for the society, it changes with time, right? Will it remain constant or does it change regularly? It changes regularly, right? Yes or no? See, in fact, I'll just give you one example. Take the case of post-independent India. Just a simple example. In post-independent India, when the Indian national movement was being studied, okay, so the highest relevance was given to the contributions of Gandhiji on one side, and Nehru and his family's contributions to Indian national movement was given utmost significance, right? Yes, most of our NCERT textbooks, most of our textbooks, they talk about the contribution of Gandhi-Nehru family to Indian national movement, because that is considered to be significant at that point of time, okay, and it was considered to be relevant for the society at that point of time. We used to give utmost importance to the history of these people, whereas the leaders who contributed almost similarly to the national movement, they have been put aside, right? They were not given equal significance. Do you agree with me or not? Take the case of Vallabhbhai Patel, okay, Subhash Chandra Bose. These people and their contributions to Indian national movement, they were not given equal significance, okay, immediately post-independence. Yes or no? But nowadays, what is happening? There is a reordering of history, right? The contributions of Subhash Chandra Bose, Vallabhbhai Patel, they are being brought into the mainstream, or they are being given higher importance when compared to the contributions of the leaders whose history we studied very thoroughly earlier. You got following what I'm trying to say? It means that history is regularly changing according to our preferences or the preferences of people in the present times. It means that what we remember in history and what we leave in history, okay, that is going to be determined on the basis of, okay, our social needs today. Are you following this, sir? So this is very, very important definition of history. See, once when I asked the same question to one class, Okay, so one person has answered me by saying that history is nothing but his story, sir. Okay, he has given one unique definition. Okay, if it is only his story, then what about her? I mean, both the genders' story should be remembered, right? But why only? Usually, history was male-dominated earlier. But now, with the emergence of women's movement in India, what happened? Historical women figures are also being brought out, right? More significance is being given to the women leaders of Indian national movement. Yes or no? So it means that with the emergence of women's movement in present, in past, the women leaders are being studied more now. Are you following this, sir? Then similarly, if you take the example of, okay, the historical personalities, currently there is empowerment-based politics which is going on, particularly for the sake of lower castes in society. Okay, empowerment is being given very high importance, right? That is the reason why the figure of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and his contributions to the national movement, they are being given higher importance today than earlier. Yes? So it means that what we remember and what we leave behind in history, it is determined on the present needs of society. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Then history, is it a static subject or a dynamic subject? It is a static subject. How can it be static when it changes according to our needs now? Yes or no? What we are remembering in past, earlier it was different. Now what we are remembering in past is different, right? In fact, if you have a look at the UPSC previous year questions also, you'll find the same change. Earlier, there used to be utmost importance given to, okay, the political wars and political personalities were given highest importance earlier. Okay, which war is fought when? Okay, how many people participated in the war? Okay, these kind of things were given higher importance earlier. But nowadays, what is happening? There is more focus on social and economic themes in history. Yes or no? It means that from political events, now we have shifted to social and economic themes in history. Because, okay, today's society want to remember the social and economic themes more keenly than the earlier political themes. Are people following what I'm trying to say? So it means that, very simply, history is a dynamic subject and it can be considered as a continuous dialogue between past and the present. Okay, this is a very, very famous definition which has been given by a personality called E.H. Carr. He says that history is a dynamic subject which is based on a continuous dialogue between past and present. Are you following what I'm trying to say? It means that according to present, the past also, or the events in past, we tend to regularly change the events that we remember from the past. Is it all right, sir? So please take down this definition of history first. And I think the institute has put forward some handouts for you guys, right? Some material. Yes? Okay, so while I'm teaching class, I'll display the same material on board, almost similar material. So then along with that, you have to parallelly check the handouts. Okay, so whichever method is convenient for you. Either you can bring your laptop or mobile phone, whatever it might be. On the phones itself, at least you can open the handout. Okay, or if you feel that it would be better to take a printout of the same, please take a printout of the same and come to class so that I'll be able to dictate some additional points there itself. Okay, rather than making the entire class dictation based, it would be better to discuss some things so that, and again the material is given there, you can directly tick mark the important points there. Is it all right? So please take a printout for at least next class. Try to take a printout. I have sent 2 handouts. In total, there are somewhere around 8 handouts of modern history. Okay, so very, very clear chronological format, crisp information is given. That would be good for your revision too. So you please try and take a printout of the same. Okay, for next class. Is it all right? Okay, so now first take down the definition of history. History is a dynamic discipline. History is a dynamic discipline which is based on a continuous dialogue between past and present. Which is based on a continuous dialogue between past and present. Full stop. It means that means that history changes according to the needs of present day, according to the needs of present day. Is it all right, sir? So you can give the example of, okay, there you can write a small example. Okay, example of changing focus from the Nehru-Gandhi framework, to Bose-Patel framework during present times. Change relevance from Nehru-Gandhi framework to Bose-Patel framework in the present times. In modern Indian history, we can see this change, right? Yes or no? Okay, so that is the reason why we are constructing statues in the name of Patel, renaming many islands in the name of Bose. Yes or no? So earlier it was not the case, right? Okay, so earlier highest significance is given to the Gandhi-Nehru family, but currently with the changing time, with changing needs of society, changing political establishment at center, what happened is, okay, so the significance of events, it is changing. Okay, so it's continuously shifting and changing. So this is the definition of history. Is it clear, sir? So in any essay, okay, usually what is happening is in UPSC, every year out of the 8 essays, at least 1 essay is coming from historical themes. So this understanding of history will help you in writing a clearer or more proper definition of history. Is it clear, sir? Now, okay, fine. Now we are going to discuss the next thing, that is modern history is the topic which is which we are going to discuss, right? Then I'll ask a very simple question. What is the meaning of modernity then? History, I think you understand now. Yes, history is a continuous dialogue between the past and present, okay, and it is a dynamic discipline wherein, okay, what we remember and leave in history, it depends upon the social needs of today. Is it clear? Now, what is the meaning of modern Indian history then? Okay, modernity is a period in history, right? Yes. So we might be knowing that ancient is there, medieval is there, then after that modern will come into picture, right? So there is a chronological classification of history, right? Ancient first, medieval next, and modern after that. So when it comes to this term modern means modern is an age. Modernity is an age which is dominated by rationality as the central theme of the society. Okay, whenever reason or rationality, if it dominates the society, then it is known as modern period. Are you following this, sir? When religion dominates the society, usually it is known as medieval period. Are you following this, sir? So when rationality or reason dominates the society, then it is known as modernity. Very simple, right? Okay, modernity is a period when reason or rationality is the central ideology of the society. Okay, you people are modern men and women, right? Yes, what does it mean? Modernity means what? Modernity means rationality or reason-based thinking should be the central theme in the society or the central ideology in society, then it is known as modernity. Simple definition, right? So please write it down. Modernity is a period. Modernity is the period when society revolves around a reason or rationality. When society revolves around a reason or rationality. Okay, and we can understand it better, by contrasting with medieval period, by contrasting it with the medieval period where society revolves around religion. where society revolves around religion. So modernity means society revolves around reason. So when we talk about medieval period, medieval means society revolves around religion. Then it is known as medieval period. So we know it clearly, right? So medieval period, religion is the most dominating ideology in society. Okay, polity, economy, society, every discipline in the world, it was dominated by religion, right? Yes, okay, particularly in, we can see it in our own state, Odisha too. Okay, religion was the most important factor. That is the reason why during medieval period, large temple structures were constructed in Odisha, because religion was given highest significance in the society. Whereas in the modern period, usually this religious domination will be replaced with the dominance by rationality or human reason. Okay, and this domination of rationality or human reason in Indian history, it started with the entry of Europeans into India. So because of their reason or rationality, they became this supreme military power in India. Yes, they had better guns, better equipment, better technology. That is based on what? Reason. So Europeans are the ones who brought this rationality based weaponry to India, through which they were able to dominate Indian kings, right? Yes or no? They were having better equipment, better ships they built. So because of this, they were able to take political control of India. Economically also, they were more advanced in trading practices. That is the reason why they were able to colonize India and economically exploit India. Yes? Yes, please. Socially also, if you see, the European society was far more rational and more advanced and enlightened when compared to India. That is the reason why they were able to, okay, in fact, dominate Indian society also. Yes? So in all disciplines, reason or rationality, if it is given highest importance in society, then it is considered to be modern period. Very, very simple. So modern history means what? Okay, history is nothing but a chronological remembrance of significant events, but the significance of events, it changes according to the modern times, or it changes according to the current times. Then modernity means what? It is a period which is dominated by reason or rationality, and the society revolves around reason or rationality, then it is known as modern period. Is it clear, sir? So modernity is clear. Then modern Indian history means the history of India with the entry of Europeans and their dominance in India. Are you following this, sir? So, and in modern Indian history, we are going to read the history from the second half of 18th century. 18th century means 1750s on, what is happening in India, what kind of situation is present in India, how the Europeans were able to dominate India, we are going to study as part of modern Indian history. Is it clear, sir? So, is it making sense? Now, the thing is, we are studying history not for any examination, not for any graduation examination, right? Usually, history for a graduation examination is quite different from history for UPSC. अगर आप लोग एक graduation exam के लिए history अगर if you are reading, then what happens is usually there will be a very long drawn out curriculum, right? Nearly for 2 years, 3 years, people study history in their Bachelor of Arts, right? Yes. But in UPSC, we have to cover a large section of history in a very short span of time. You following this? And in UPSC, any generalized sense of history is not being usually asked. There is a specific syllabus for UPSC history. So we are going to have a look at the syllabus, and based on the syllabus only, we are going to study history. Are you following what I'm trying to say, sir? So let's have a look at the syllabus first, okay, of what UPSC prescribes as part of its study of history. Okay, so let's see modern India. So in prelims and mains, what are the sections which are usually covered, or what is the syllabus say? Let's have a look at this. So when it comes to the prelim syllabus, so it is a very, very short statement. Okay, it says that clearly history of India and Indian national movement is part of the syllabus. Okay, very, very broad, right? So history of India and Indian national movement. Okay, so even though the syllabus is very simple, usually the questions from history, they are a little difficult in UPSC prelims. They are a little difficult primarily because, okay, this gives a very broad scope for the examiner, right? He can ask question from any nook and corner. So that is the reason why for UPSC prelims, rather than focusing on the syllabus, we need to focus on the previous year questions. Okay, because most of the questions, they revolve around the previous year questions. If one topic is asked, okay, then they will ask a similar topic again. Are you following this, sir? So that is the reason why we will have a look at the previous year questions when we are studying for prelims. Then when it comes to mains part of the syllabus, so just have a look at the mains part of the syllabus. Okay, I have given it in the handout too. If you take a printout, it would be more simple for you. Okay, now when it comes to the second part, modern Indian history from mid of 18th century to present is the syllabus. It means that it very clearly states that, okay, so history till present times, that is relevant for mains examination. So it means that from giving the syllabus in this fashion, they started asking questions on post-independent India too. Till then for us, history means 1947 is the break line for history for us. But after including the syllabus, they started asking questions from post-independent India too, that is post-1947 what happened, they started asking questions about that too. Is it clear? Now they are saying that modern Indian history from mid of 18th century to present is the part of the syllabus. Okay. Now mid 18th century means what? 1750s to, okay, present. Okay, present means at least we can draw a line at 1990. So till 1990, whatever happened in Indian history, politically, socially, economically, from 1750s to 1990 is the syllabus for mains. Is it clear? Now next one is, so it is saying that we have to read significant events of history. Then apart from significant events, important personalities of history we need to study. Then along that, various issues in history. Issues means the things like economic exploitation during British colonial rule, social reforms during British colonial rule. Okay, all of these things are the issues in modern Indian history. When it comes to personalities, usually the personalities, there are n number of personalities in modern Indian history, right? So I'll give a very, very thorough and a detailed handout about all of them. Okay, but we will try and study them in a logical fashion. Okay, personalities के बारे में पढ़ लेंगे हम लोग. Then significant events we are going to discuss. Okay, significant events means the events like Battle of Plassey is an event, right? Yes, 1857 revolt is an event. Non-cooperation movement is an event, right? So these are significant events, personalities and issues in modern Indian history. So economic and social reforms in India are the issues. Then after this, freedom struggle, its various stages in modern Indian history is something which has been put as part of syllabus. So its various stages means what? Indian freedom struggle, it underwent a process of nearly 90 years, right? From 1857 revolt to 1947 Indian independence. So there are various phases in Indian national movement. First, initially, there were violent protests against the British. Then the movement shifted to a non-violent format of protest against the British. There were moderates, extremists. Then after that, we might be knowing about some people called revolutionary terrorists in Indian national movement. So particularly people like Bhagat Singh, okay, Bhago Jatin. So all of these people are considered to be revolutionary terrorists, right? So those things also we are going to discuss. Okay, then along with that, we are also going to talk about Indian National Army, Subhash Chandra Bose's contribution. So all of these things are part of freedom struggle and its various stages, and important contributions from different parts of the country is made part of the syllabus. So it is a very, very broad spectrum, right? Yes, because freedom struggle in each region, it was having a different sense, right? It was not same in every region. Some regions, the freedom struggle, it was very, very violent form. Particularly take the case of Punjab. Okay, Bengal also it was a little violent. Whereas freedom struggle was not equally significant in every region, right? Yes. For example, take the case of Northeast India. So was there any significant contribution from Northeast India for the sake of Indian national movement? Very slight. Okay, very slight contribution. So that is the reason why the important contributions from different parts of the country is also made part of the syllabus. So we are going to study about it too. So this is the broad syllabus for prelims and mains with respect to UPSC history. And when it comes to the weightage of these sections in UPSC, so if you see prelims, usually in prelims every year, okay, 18 to 20 questions will come from history in total. History means ancient, medieval, art and culture, plus modern India put together 18 to 20 questions. That means nearly 40 marks will come in prelims from history section out of 200 marks. Of these 40 marks, minimum of 20 marks will come from modern Indian history. It means that 10 questions from modern India, Then 10 questions from ancient medieval art and culture put together, they are going to ask 10 questions. So 10 questions from modern India means 20 marks is a very big number, right? UPSC prelims, is it not so? Okay, usually people don't get selected because of half a mark, 1 mark. Okay, so 20 marks is a very big number from modern Indian history. So usually your prelims preparation, okay, it revolves around modern India. Okay, because it is a very, very important part of your prelim syllabus. So we need to study it very thoroughly. Okay, so that is the reason why 10 marks or 10 questions or 20 marks will come from modern Indian history. When it comes to your mains, usually in mains, history constitutes GS paper 1, right? So it is included along with society and geography. So in the paper 1 of general studies, history section say usually there will be 7 to 8 questions from history. 7 to 8 is a good number out of 20, right? So 7 to 8 from history, then 7 to 8 from geography, and the rest from society usually they ask questions from. And out of these, usually from modern India, not less than 4 questions will be asked. 4 questions means 2 15 markers and 2 10 markers will usually be asked. So the 2 15 markers means 30 marks there. Then 2 10 markers means, okay, 20 marks there. So in GS paper 1, in mains, usually history weightage or modern history weightage is 50 marks in mains. In prelims, it is 20 marks. And in mains, the syllabus weightage is nearly, okay, 50 marks. Then when it comes to reference books for modern Indian history, so my suggestion is you mainly depend on my handout. Okay, I've made a very, very thorough and detailed handout. You can check the handouts also which have been forwarded to you. Primarily depend on my handout. Then along with handout, you can check this section called Spectrum. You can use Spectrum Modern Indian History as a reference book. As a reference book, you can use it. In fact, okay, but Spectrum these days, it has become very thick and bulky, right? It's almost somewhere around 900 pages Spectrum book is. See, initially when we started our preparation, Spectrum book used to be just 90 pages. So over the past 10 years, it has become 10 times bigger. Okay, now the book is almost lethal. It means that if you hit someone with the book, they will definitely die. Okay, so that is so thick now. Okay, so abhi itna mota ho gaya. So it's very, very difficult to read the entire book and comprehend. So my suggestion is, whichever sections you have a doubt in the handout, you can refer to Spectrum. Don't make it your main source of study because it is a very thick book and it is also a guide book but not a textbook. So the Spectrum author, what he has done is he has collected important paragraphs from different textbooks and included them directly in the guidebook, that is Spectrum. It is not a standalone textbook, because of which usually there is a lot of confusion while reading Spectrum. So my suggestion would be use it as a reference but not a standard study material. Are you following this, sir? You can use my handouts, you can rely upon them, they are very detailed too. So let's so that is the study material for you. Then apart from that, don't go for any other book in modern Indian history. Particularly many students tend to read the old NCERT textbooks, that is Bipin Chandra. Okay, most of the students read Bipin Chandra, but nowadays the number of questions from Bipin Chandra has come down substantially. Not many questions are being asked. Whatever questions are being asked already, those sections were taken over by Spectrum and included as part of their textbook. Okay, इसमें से जो important parts है वो उठा के already Spectrum में include हो गया. So that is the reason why you don't worry about reading Bipin Chandra. Okay, don't worry about reading Bipin Chandra. Directly go for Spectrum, and along with that, look at my handouts. Is it clear, sir? So that's the case. Then, if you have a look at, this is the syllabus for UPSC prelims and mains. Then, when it comes to our course, okay, our course on modern Indian history, what we are going to do is, we are going to break down the syllabus into 4 simple parts. You need to write these things down. So 4 simple parts we will break down the syllabus into. The first part of the syllabus is establishment of British Empire in India. Okay, establishment of British Empire in India is the first part of the syllabus. Okay, so that we are going to discuss establishment of British Empire in India. So this section, particularly we will start with discussion about 18th century India. 18th century India, how it was like. Okay, what factors helped the Britishers to enter into India is the first section that we are going to talk about, that is 18th century India. Then after discussing about 18th century India, we are going to move to the next topic, that is advent of Europeans. So here we are going to study about the Portuguese, Dutch, Danes, okay, French, English and others, how they have entered into India. We are going to study as part of this section called advent of Europeans. Then along with advent of Europeans, okay, we are also going to discuss the British conquest of India, particularly, okay, the British conquest of Bengal, okay, Sikh, okay, territory, Mysore, okay, then along with that Maratha conquest. All of these sections we are going to discuss as part of this section called British conquest of India. Then after discussing the British conquest of India, we are going to discuss what is the ideology of Britishers. Okay, what is the ideology of Britishers while they were ruling India, we are going to discuss. See, primarily our understanding of the English people is what? That their rule was exploitative in India. Usually in Indian mindset, the Britishers are projected as villains, right? Yes, sir. We usually look at the Britishers as villains. But okay, if they are really such villains, then why did they introduce modern education system into India? Okay, because that will support them in administration, but then when it is supposed to support them for administration, then even after the withdrawal of the British also, why did we continue with the same education system? Okay, because we have habituated to that. Okay, so is habituation the only reason for continuing the British education system without any merit? At least now, okay, we could have rejected it. The very language that we are speaking in, we are using to communicate is also a British language. Why did we not reject it? Okay, it is effect of globalization now. Okay, post 1990s only we went for globalization. But even before also we used or we continued using English language, right? Am I making sense, sir? Okay, yes, first education system. Then second is, see, the very exam that you are preparing for, it is a British institution, right? Who created the administrative system in India? It is the Britishers who created the administrative system. Okay, the very exam that you are preparing for, okay, that is the post that you are preparing for IAS, IPS, they were British creations, right? In fact, by preparing for this examination, you are trying to become the new Britishers of India. Am I making sense or not? So we continued with the same administrative system. We continued with the same education system. In fact, in many respects, okay, India continues the British conventions even today. Okay, our penal code through which we punish our criminals is a British institution. Our prison system is a British institution. Our parliamentary system is derived from Great Britain's parliament. Are you following what I'm trying to say? And our constitution, nearly 70% of our constitution is lifted word by word from an act called Government of India Act of 1935. It means that even though the British rule ended, the British institutions are continuing. If their rules impact is only exploitation, then why would we continue all these things to modern times? Will we continue, sir? Will we continue or will we reject them immediately after independence? We would have rejected them, right? But we continued many things. It means that the British rule in India, it has a dual impact. One is positive and the second one is negative. Are you following this, sir? So in ideology, we will study, okay, what kind of positive impact was created in India and through which ideologies this positive impact is usually created. Okay, there we will study about the British liberals who built the political democracy in India, okay, through introducing democratic elections into India. We will study about the British utilitarians who built the administrative system in India. Okay, then we will study about the British Orientalists who gave Indian history back to India. Okay, before that, Indians did not know about their own past properly. It is the British Orientalists who gave India back their past. Then at the same time, we are going to discuss about the negative impact of the British rule too, through the ideologies of British conservatives on one side, Then along with British conservatives, we are also going to talk about the British Christian missionary impact on India as part of ideologies. Is it clear, sir? So this is a very, very important part. In fact, it is the heart of understanding the other parts of establishment of British Empire. Is it clear? Now, apart from ideology, the next thing that we are going to discuss is, after finishing ideology, we will move to the topic of the administrative acts of the Britishers. Very, very important topic, from UPSC point of view. Every year, without fail, in UPSC prelims, one question will definitely come from these administrative acts. You might have known them from your polity discussions too, like Government of India Act of 1919, 1909, 1935, the various charter acts during British rule, regulating acts, all these things we are going to discuss as part of the administrative acts during British colonial rule. Then after that, we are going to discuss about economic impact of British colonial rule. In fact, the economic impact of the British colonial rule, listen to me carefully, is the most exploitative part of the British colonial rule. Under this, we are going to discuss about the various land revenue systems during British colonial rule. Then along with that, we are going to discuss about some applied dimensions in economic impact, like the British impact on Indian forests. And along with British impact on Indian forests, we are also going to discuss about the export of free labor from India to the other countries of the world. You might be knowing about this indentured labor of India, right? So Indian laborers were exported in large number to other parts of the world, by the Britishers, particularly to West Indies, South Africa. Then along with that, South America, they exported some labor. So all these exploitations and export of labor we are going to discuss as part of economic exploitation of the British colonial rule. So forest, then along with that, land revenue, British impact on Indian village we are going to talk about. Then along with that, export of labor and forest exploitation we are going to discuss as part of the economic exploitation during British colonial rule. So the broad section is what? Establishment of British rule in India, and in this all these subsections we are going to talk about. Is it clear, sir? Then the second one is, we are going to discuss about the second major subsection. You should write them. First major subsection is establishment of British Empire. You write. The subtopics are given in the handout. You need not worry about them. Just write the establishment of British Empire in India is the first broader topic. Then the second broader topic that we are going to discuss is the topic of early reactions and rebellions against British colonial rule. That is the second part. Early reactions and rebellions against British colonial rule. Early reactions and rebellions against British colonial rule. And when it comes to these early reactions and rebellions, this is a very, very important part of the syllabus. In fact, just between 1757, that is establishment of British Empire, right, to 1857, that is 100 years after the establishment of British colonial rule. So in this period, we see numerous peasant, tribal, uprisings against the British rule. In fact, according to the objective history of today, yes, please come. So according to the objective history of today, more than 100 rebellions occurred between 1757 to 1857. So you might be knowing about the Paika rebellion, right? That is part of this early reactions and rebellions between 1757 to 1857. In fact, some people consider it to be the first war of Indian independence. Yes. So Paika rebellion is part of early reactions and rebellions. So in fact, when the British rule was established in India, the first people to react against the British rule is the tribals of India, and along with the tribals, the farmers of India, they are the ones who first rebelled against the British rule. And during 100 years of British rule between 1757 to 1857, there were more than recorded 100 rebellions against the British rule. It means that every year, one or the other part of India, farmers and the tribals, they put together, they used to rebel against the British, and of which the best example is the Paika rebellion in Odisha. Is it clear, sir? So this is early reactions and rebellions. Here we are going to talk about the peasant rebellions, tribal rebellions against the British. You might be knowing about the Santal rebellion against the British, right? So one of the major tribal uprising is Santal uprising. Then Munda uprising is one more uprising against the British, right? Yes. So these are part of these early reactions and rebellions. And as part of these early reactions and rebellions itself, we are going to discuss about the socio-religious reforms in India. So when it comes to socio-religious reforms, so we will discuss about people like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, their contribution to social reform, okay, how the social reform or why it was required in Indian society, how these people tried to bring about the social reform, were they successful or not, all these facets we are going to discuss as part of this socio-religious reforms section. Then after this early reactions and rebellions, the third part of the syllabus. So second part, did you write? Early reactions and rebellions is the second part. Then the third part of the syllabus. The third part of the syllabus is, okay, a section called dominant line of Indian history. So please write it down. The third section is dominant line of Indian history is the third part of the syllabus, is dominant line of Indian history. So as part of dominant line of Indian history, in fact in early reactions and rebellions itself, we are going to discuss about 1857 revolt too. That is one more major event we are going to discuss as part of early reactions and rebellions. Then after that we will move to the dominant line of Indian history. So this is the history of Indian national movement. Okay, already we might have studied about it in our schools and colleges. Okay, so usually it starts with a phase called moderate phase in Indian national movement. Okay, moderate phase in Indian national movement. Then after moderates, the next section is extremists. Then after extremists, we have, okay, a movement called revolutionary terrorist movement in Indian national movement. There we study about people like Aurobindo Ghosh, okay, then contribution to revolutionary terrorism. Okay, these kind of things we are going to discuss as part of revolutionary terrorism. Then after revolutionary terrorism, we are going to talk about, okay, Gandhi and his contributions to Indian national movement we are going to discuss. And as part of the discussion on Gandhiji, we are going to talk about non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement and Quit India movement are the three major movements of Gandhiji, right? Non-cooperation, civil disobedience and Quit India movement. So these three sections we are going to discuss as part of Gandhian movements. Okay, and after discussing Gandhian movements, we are going to talk about one more important section of Indian national movement, which is known as socialism in Indian national movement. Because socialist faction in Indian national movement is in fact a very strong section of Indian national movement, and socialists had a significant effect on the Indian national movement, and the major socialists in Indian national movement are none other than Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose. These are the two prominent socialists in Indian national movement, right? So we are going to discuss about them. Okay, then along with the socialist movement, here we are going to talk about the influence of Communist Party of India also in Indian national movement. There we are going to discuss about people like M.N. Roy. You know, you might be knowing about M.N. Roy, right? Yes. So M.N. Roy is one person we are going to talk about, his contribution to Indian national movement. Okay, and what kind of influence did the socialists have on the Indian national movement, we are going to discuss as part of this section. Yes. Then after discussing about socialism, we are going to talk about Indian National Army and its contribution to the freedom of India. Then along with Indian National Army, we are also going to discuss about Royal Indian Naval Mutiny and its impact on Indian national movement. Okay, there is a very, very significant event called Royal Indian Naval Mutiny. Okay, Royal Indian Naval Mutiny, which occurred in 1946, and what kind of impact it had on the Indian national movement, we are going to discuss as part of this section. Is it all right, sir? So we'll start with the moderates, then extremists, revolutionary terrorism, then Gandhiji, socialism, CPI, then INA and RIN mutiny. These are the major sections in the dominant line of Indian national movement. So I use the term dominant primarily because, so this is the national movement which is usually read about, and it is the national movement which we usually discuss about. Yes. See, prior to 2013, okay, so 2013 is the year when significant changes occurred in UPSC. Prior to 2013, this dominant line of Indian national movement, it was very important part of UPSC syllabus. Earlier the questions used to be very simple. They used to be like, okay, what is the contribution of Mahatma Gandhi to Indian national movement? Okay, very simple question, right? What is the contribution of Gandhiji to Indian national movement is a question which has been asked in UPSC multiple number of times before 2013. but it is not very different from our school based questions, right? 10th standard, 12th, okay, there you usually read about these kind of things, right? What is the contribution of Gandhiji to Indian national movement? But in 2013 the UPSC changed its pattern. Now the number of questions from this dominant line of Indian history, they have come down substantially. In fact, to signify the same change, in 2014 what UPSC did is it asked a question. The question goes this way: what would have been the nature of Indian national movement without Gandhiji, was the question. So till then we always studied Gandhiji is the father of India, or so father of nation is Gandhiji, right? Now what they are asking us to do, they are asking us to forget about father. What would have been the nature of the child? They are asking the question. Are you following what I'm trying to say? Okay, so it's a very simple question. What would have been the nature of Indian national movement without a personality like Gandhiji, was the question they asked us to critically examine. Will any book write about this answer? See, any history textbook, what we will do? We will talk about the contributions of Gandhiji. But now what UPSC is doing? It is asking us to forget about Gandhiji. Without a person like Gandhiji, what would have been the nature of Indian national movement, was the question. अब क्या लिखना है इसके? Is it creative literature or history? So is it creative literature? But even though it is a little bit of a creative literature, we have to write it on an objective basis, right? And this question is a thought-provoking question. Okay, some people might say that India would have become independent very soon, without the limiting factor of Gandhiji. Some people have this opinion, right? I'm not saying wrongly. So some people have this opinion. So particularly the right-wing factions in India, they usually have this opinion that Gandhi delayed the independence of India. Yes, but if we write that in examination, would it be apt? It would definitely be not apt, right? Yes, then what should we be writing here? Till now we have studied everywhere, whenever we open national movement, Gandhi, 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 Gandhi. Now UPSC asked, forget Gandhi, what would have been the nature of Indian national movement, was the question. Then to signify the same change, what they have done is, in the very next year, they have asked a question saying that Lord Dalhousie is the real maker of modern India. Critically examine, was the question. Till now, whenever we read about makers of modern India, we usually read about the national leaders like Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru. They are the makers of modern India according to us, right? But now they are saying Lord Dalhousie is the real maker of modern India. But Lord Dalhousie usually is like a villainish character in Indian national movement, who lapsed in many princely states through doctrine of lapse. You might have heard about it. Yes. So then when he has such a negative impact on India, then suddenly they asked a question saying that Lord Dalhousie is the real maker of modern India. Critically examined, was the question. Can we accept a British man to be the maker of modern India? But they are making that statement. Okay, if Gandhi is the maker of modern India, critically examined, very simple question. Yes, but they are saying forget about Gandhi in one paper. Other paper they are saying Lord Dalhousie is the real maker of modern India. So it means that they have changed the pattern of questions, right? Are you following what I am trying to say, sir? That is the reason why in UPSC the subject or the discipline is a little dynamic. Even though history is a static subject, here they are bringing in a new element of dynamism. Are you following what I am trying to say, sir? So now are you understanding, the definition of history? So it is changing according to the changing circumstances, right? Yes or no? So I told that history is a dialogue between past and present. Can you see the dialogue here? Okay, so wherein we are being asked to forget about Gandhiji on one side, and a Britisher is being given the fatherhood of India. Okay, he is given fatherhood of India. He is the maker of modern India, bolke they are saying. Are you following this, sir? So this is how UPSC questions are changing, and in fact from then on, post 2013, rather than this dominant line of Indian history, they started focusing more on this area which is known as alternative voices of nation. This is a very, very important section. In both prelims and mains, many questions are coming from this section, which is known as alternative voices of nation. Alternative voices of nation. Okay, it means that they are not the central themes of history as we discussed earlier. They are usually the things which were not focused earlier, but now they have taken center stage in modern Indian history. Okay, and in this alternative voices of nation, on 2 occasions from 2013 to now, it's almost 10 years, right? On 2 occasions, they have asked this question: what is the contribution of women to Indian national movement? Are you following this, sir? Till then, history is a male-dominated discipline. Now, what they have done? Suddenly, they asked a question saying that what is the contribution of Indian women to Indian national movement? Was one question which has been asked. Are you following? This is not. Is it not alternative voice of nation? It is not the central theme, but now it is gaining significance. So, women's contribution to Indian national movement was one question which has been asked. Then after that, in the alternative voices of nation itself, we have the issue of Muslim nationalism, which led to partition of the country into India and Pakistan. I think most of you might be knowing that India during British rule, it included both Bangladesh on this side and Pakistan on the other side, right? But at the time of independence in 1947, these 2 parts have been separated from India. Yes. So what is the nature of this Muslim nationalism is also part of alternative voices of nation. So Muslim nationalism and its impact we are going to discuss. Then after Muslim nationalism, one more important part of the alternative voices of nation is the farmer movements in Indian national movement. Very, very important part. Okay, farmers, they participated significantly in Indian national movement. Why did they participate? What is the nature of their national movement is something which we are going to talk about here. Then apart from farmers, we have the workers too, right? Workers also in large number, they participated in the Indian national movement. Okay, worker participation in Indian national movement is the next part. Then after discussing about the worker movement, we are going to talk about the next topic, that is what is the contribution of lower caste to Indian national movement. This is a very, very important part. Multiple number of questions have been asked from this section. What is the nature of the contribution of lower caste to Indian national movement? There have been questions framed on a discussion between the dominant line of history and alternative voices through comparative personalities of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Gandhiji. Okay, twice this question has been asked. Very simple question. So what is the difference of, or what is the difference of approach between Gandhi and Ambedkar towards Indian nationalism and Indian independence was the question which has been asked. Is it clear, sir? And as part of the lower caste movement itself, we are going to discuss about Justice Party, Dravidian movement, okay, how it has been a little different from the other voices of nation we are going to discuss. So, lower caste, women, okay, farmer and workers movement during the Indian national movement is part of this alternative voices of nation. Is it clear, sir? Is it making sense? So, 4 parts of the syllabus are what? First one is establishment of the British Empire in India. Second part is early reactions and rebellions against British rule. Third part is dominant line of Indian history. Fourth part is alternative voices of nation. Okay, so in these 4 parts, we are going to discuss modern Indian history. So this is the nature of the course plan. Okay, course plan is this. Every day I'll pick up some 1 or 2 topics from the syllabus sheet, okay, then or from the curriculum, and I'll discuss them as part of the class. And please try and make a handout of the printout of the handout. Okay, that is a must. Okay, you people should try and get the handout from tomorrow on. Otherwise, a lot of my time will be wasted in dictation. Okay, that's not good. Okay, so it's clearly given there. Wherever additional points are there, I'm going to dictate. Please bring a printout of the handout. For today, you can see the slides or see the handout which has been given to you on mobile phone. Okay, because first my class will go this way. I'll explain one topic. Then after that, I'll read through the handout. Okay, I'll read through the handout so that you people also will be able to parallelly look at them, tick mark them then and there itself. Whichever important points are there, you have to highlight them, star mark them, so that while revising, it will be more easy and convenient for you people. Is it all right? So that is what we are going to do. First I'll explain, then after that we will see the handout. And the handout also contains numerous maps, diagrams, which you can directly replicate in the examination. So that is the reason why it is a little important. Is it clear, sir? Now, so we have discussed about what history is, then modern history we have talked about, then syllabus we have shown, then after that our syllabus breakup I have shown. So this is how we are going to study the syllabus. Is it all right, sir? Now, first topic that we are going to start with is 18th century India is the first topic that we are going to discuss. So what was Indian situation like before the entry of the Britishers into India or other Europeans into India? We are going to discuss about the first chapter that we are going to pick up is 18th century India. Okay, 18th century India is the first topic that we are going to discuss. Any questions from your side? Any questions? Are you people able to follow what I'm trying to say? Yes? Yes. Yes. Okay. First is we are going to discuss about 18th century India is the first topic that we are going to talk about, and in 18th century India we are going to discuss separately the political condition of India, economic condition and social condition of 18th century India we are going to discuss about. Okay, and you people might be knowing that prior to 18th century in India, okay, during medieval period there was a very very powerful empire in India which is known as the Mughal Empire. Yes, and based on its geographical extent, based on the resources that it commanded, the military that it had, it was one of the world's most powerful empire at that point of time. Okay, particularly during the time of Akbar, okay, then Jahangir, Shah Jahan. Okay, during their period it was one of the world's most powerful empire, and during medieval times the Mughal Empire, it used to have a very very good administrative system, very very efficient administrative system it used to have, which is based on a system called Mansab Jagirdar system. I'll discuss about this Mansab Jagirdar system later, but just understand this, that the administrative system of Mughals, it is based on this system called Mansab Jagirdar system. Okay, Mansabdar and Jagirdar are the two terms. Just think of them like the district collector and a military commander. Okay, but during Mughal period, the district collector post is merged with that of military commander. It means that both the posts are handled by the same person. The same person is military commander, the same person is district collector. Because during medieval times, there is no difference between military and civilian population, or civilian administration and military administration are one and the same. The same person is district collector, the same person is military commander. Both those positions are merged together, and this post is known as Mansab Jagir system. And it is one of the most efficient form of administration which was present during Mughal period. Then along with administrative efficiency, the Mughal period or the Mughal age is also known for a large empire, right? Particularly by the time of Aurangzeb, the extent of the Mughal Empire, it extended from Afghanistan in the west to, okay, Assam in the east. Afghanistan to Assam. So if you see the west to east extent, Afghanistan to Assam was the extent. And if you see the north to south extent, the empire extended from Jammu and Kashmir in the north to the tip of South India at Rameshwaram. Okay, so it had a very broad extent. Entire Indian subcontinent was under their control. Are you following this, sir? Huge empire. Aurangzeb had one of the world's largest empire at that point of time. So superb extent, it was a large empire based extent too. Then along with having a large empire, the other part about the Mughal period is, during Mughal period in India, economically, India was one of the richest country in the entire world. In fact, our contribution was nearly half of all manufactured goods in the world, they used to be produced in India. Half of global manufacturing GDP, it was the contribution of India. During the peak of Mughal period, Indian goods, they used to dominate the global market. Okay, global manufacturing GDP mein, Indian manufacturing is nearly half of global manufacturing GDP. 50% of global manufacturing GDP, it used to occur in India. Is it clear, sir? Currently, our manufacturing GDP is not even 50% of our own country's GDP, right? Okay, so it's just around somewhere around 20% it is. Yes, but then 50% of global manufacturing GDP, it used to occur in India. Then along with that, nearly two-thirds, it means that 75% of the global commerce, it used to pass through India. Okay, because India is having a very strategically important position in Indian Ocean region. It is midway between the trade of Southeast Asia and European world. Okay, so from two sides, the trade when it is happening, so the ships were not strong enough to directly take goods from Southeast Asia to Europe in one go. They used to land at India, and in India, the goods used to exchange hands, and then they used to be exported to the European world. It means that two-thirds of global trade and commerce, it used to pass through India. Half of global manufacturing, two-thirds of global trade used to pass through India. So this is how significant economically India was. Are you following this, sir? So very rich empire, large extent, very good administration, and along with that, the Mughal military might was also very strong at that point of time. And this Mughal empire, so it was till 1707. From 1526, when it was established, to 1707 is the period which is known as the period of Great or Grand Mughals. Okay, so this is known as 1526 is the empire's establishment. Okay, then till 1707 is the period of Great or Grand Mughals, it is known as. And here we have rulers like Babar, okay, then Humayun, then after that Akbar, and after Akbar we have Jahangir, Shah Jahan, okay, and after Shah Jahan we have Aurangzeb. And Aurangzeb died in 1707. Okay, so that is the reason why the age of Great or Grand Mughals, it ended in 1707. Is it clear, sir? So this is the period which is known as Great or Grand Mughal period. At that point of time, administration is very efficient. Large empire was there. Economically also, India was a very rich country, and militarily also it was a very mighty country at that point of time. Is it clear, sir? Now 1707 is the time when, okay, the last great Mughal, Aurangzeb, he died. And with his death, okay, what happened is in the Mughal empire, so I am talking about the political scenario now. In the Mughal empire, after the death of Aurangzeb, the centralized empire, it got broken down. Okay, it became, or it got splintered into numerous smaller parts. So the centralized empire under the Great or Grand Mughals, it ended with the 1707, okay, death of Aurangzeb. Then after that, whichever Mughal rulers came, they are usually known as later Mughals in history. In fact, from 1707 to 1857, nearly for how many years, sir? 150 years is the period of these Mughals called later Mughals. So in fact, these rulers were very weak rulers to start with. They were unable to handle the administrative system which has been given by their forefathers. उनका जो forefathers administrative system is इनको दिया गया, they were unable to manage it because of their weak personality. Okay, because of their weak personality, the Mansab Jagir system, it got completely destroyed, and in 1712, okay, the efficient administrative system, it was completely broken down by 1712. It means just 5 years after the death of Aurangzeb, the earlier efficient administrative system, it got completely destroyed, and it was replaced with a unique system of revenue collection in India, which is known as Izzardari system. Okay, Mansab Jagir के बारे में बाद में बात करूंगा. Just remember that it was broken down and it was replaced by a system called Izzardari system. And this was done by a very famous later Mughal emperor by the name of Jahandar Shah. Jahandar Shah is the one who completely destroyed the earlier Mansab Jagir system, and it was replaced by a system which is known as Izzardari system. Izzardari system is a revenue collection system during Mughal times. Listen to me carefully. In this system, what happens is, let's suppose this is the entire Mughal territory. Okay, entire Mughal territory. Then there will be numerous states in Mughal territory, right? States are in the Mughal territory, they are known as usually Subha. Subha means state. Okay, are you understanding this, sir? Subha means state, and below every Subha during Mughal Empire, there used to be a smaller part, a district which is known as Paragana. Okay, this is the traditional term for a district, right? Yes. So Suba is the state, and below state there used to be Pargana during the Mughal period. And earlier the Mansab Jagirs used to take care of the administration of Suba and Pargana. Now, with the establishment of the Izardari system, listen to me carefully. What they have done is, the main intention of the later Mughals is to collect as much revenue as possible from the people of India. Are you following this, sir? From the farmers, they wanted to collect as much revenue as possible. So what they used to do is, in every Pargana, every agricultural season, they used to conduct one auction. Okay, every agricultural season, they will come to a Pargana, some administrator from central government, he will come to the Pargana and he will conduct one auction. And in this auction, he will call all interested parties to come and auction for the land revenue collection. Are you following this, sir? Okay, central government say one auctioning officer, he will come to the district or Pargana. There, before the start of agricultural season, he will call all interested parties. Let's suppose all you people are interested in collecting the revenue from Bhubaneswar region. So all of you will come. Then I will fix a base price. I am the auctioning officer. I will fix a base price for what revenue can be collected from Bhubaneswar. Okay, then one person among you, okay, he will say that I will pay 10 lakhs more than that. Give me the right to collect revenue. Then one other person will come and say, no, give me the revenue collection right. I will pay 20 lakhs more than the base revenue. This is how usually auction occurs, right? Then one other person says that I will collect or I will pay to the central government 50 lakhs more than the base revenue. Please give me the revenue collection right, bolke. One other person will come and say. Now, what I will do, I will auction this and the highest bidder will be given the right to collect revenue. Means that base price plus 50 lakhs, person who has auctioned, I will give him the right to collect revenue. Already the base price is the revenue which can be collected from the farmers of Bhubaneswar. Now, the revenue collector, he has said that he is going to collect 50 lakh more than the earlier times, okay, from the same province he has promised to the central government. Now, what will happen? He will start collecting more revenue from every farmer, because at the end of agricultural season, he has to pay base price plus 50 lakhs. Yes. Then along with that, every revenue collector will be interested in making a profit for himself. Yes or no? Usually contractors also do the same thing, right? They have to get a profit out of it. Yes. So 50 lakhs from base price he wants to collect as revenue, and over and above that he wants 50 lakhs as his own private profit. Let's suppose the base price is 1 crore. Now he has to collect 2 crores from the farmers. Earlier, when the base price was being collected itself, the revenue used to be nearly 33% of the net farmers produce. Now, from 33%, it will increase to 66%. Then who has to pay the increased revenue? Farmers have to pay the increased revenue. So if 66% of their net produce they have to pay as revenue to the government, will the farmers be interested in continuing the cultivation? Okay, so आपको सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग का जॉब लग गया, 10 लाख का पैकेज, 6 लाख गवर्नमेंट रेवेन्यू टैक्स, ओके, आपके हाथ में 4 लाख आएगा, तो आपको वो जॉब करने में कोई इंटरेस्ट रहेगा? Okay, if given a chance, you are going to, you will try to, okay, cheat the government in order to not pay the tax, right? Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Yes. So when the revenue collection demand almost doubled by the time of later Mughals because of this system called Izardari system. And in this Izardari system, the person who gets the auction is usually known as Izra holder. Okay, Izra holder is the person who gets the auction right, and he will start collecting excessive revenue from the farmers, and this excessive revenue is at the heart of destruction of the Mughal empire. Are you following what I'm trying to say? Is it clear, sir? One administrative system, that is Mansab Jagir system, it got broken down, it got replaced by Izardari system. The farmers' tax, it has substantially increased, which led to numerous farmer rebellions across India. Because the farmers were unable to pay this high land revenue demand by the government, what they started doing is they started gathering around these rural important landlords called Jamindars. And through these Jamindars, they rebelled against the Mughal empire multiple times. And these rebellions, okay, one of the most important rebellion which occurred or which is a farmers rebellion during this period is the Maratha rebellion against the Mughals. Are you following this, sir? Then apart from Marathas, the other important farming communities in India are whom? One is Marathas. Second one is the Jat Sikhs, or Jats is one more community which usually is involved in farming, right? Haryana, okay, eastern Uttar Pradesh. All these regions are dominated by Jat farmers, right? So the Jats also rebelled against the Mughal Empire, okay, because of this high revenue demand. Then apart from Jats, the Sikhs also rebelled against the Mughals, primarily because of the increased revenue demand. So Jats, Sikhs, Marathas, okay, then along with the Marathas, there was one farming community in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar called Satnamis. And these Satnamis also rebelled in large number against the Mughal Empire because of this high revenue demand. Are you following this, sir? So is it making sense? So why the rebellions occurred? Are you understanding this, sir? High revenue demand, Izardari system, breakdown of Mansab Jagir system. Okay, so all of these factors, one by one, they led to rebellions against the later Mughal Empire. Is it clear, sir? First one. Now, the second key factor for the rebellions. Okay, listen to me carefully. Whichever section is very important, I'll dictate it. Don't worry about it. Okay, so or it will be already present in the handout. Now, the second factor is what? Primarily, among the Mughals, there was no strict law of succession. What is the meaning of succession? Inheritance, right? Succession means inheritance. Now, among the Mughals, there was no strict law of succession. Usually in most kingdoms in ancient India, okay, there used to be a rule saying that the eldest son will become the next emperor, right? Okay, so usually in ancient times and in medieval times in India, the eldest son usually becomes the next emperor. But in Mughal period, there was no strict law of succession, which led to whenever a king used to die, immediately there used to be wars which are known as succession wars. And in these succession war, the king's sons and grandsons, they used to fight against each other in order to become the next emperor or ruler. Are you following this, sir? So this is primarily because of absence of a clear law of succession among the Mughals, usually led to numerous succession wars. Immediately after the death of the king, the brothers, they used to fight against each other, and the one who emerges victorious in the succession war, he is going to become the next emperor. Are you following this, sir? So after the death of Shah Jahan, the same thing happened. So the war was between the brothers of Aurangzeb, and he was able to kill all his brothers and become the next Mughal emperor. This was a standard practice. Then in case of Akbar also the same thing happened. After the death of Akbar, there was not death during his lifetime only, there was war between Jahangir, that is his son, and his grandson by the name of Khusrau. Are you following this, sir? So there was always a fight immediately after the death of the king in order to determine who is going to become the next king. Are you following this, sir? Now, when this succession wars used to happen, earlier during the great Mughal period, usually the most meritorious person among the sons, he used to emerge victorious. That is what happens, right? Rather than eldest, who is most meritorious, he will win the succession war and he will become the next emperor. It is good for the empire too. But what happened is, during later Mughal period, all the Mughal successors, they were such weak rulers that in fact the wars were not fought by them directly, but the ministers under them, they used to fight the civil wars. Are you getting what I'm trying to say, sir? Nobles used to fight the civil war rather than the kings. It means that kings were just silent spectators and their nobles will fight the war. And whoever wins the war, there the nobles will dominate but not the kings. Are you following what I'm trying to say, sir? So the war of succession, it led to being dominated by the nobility. Nobility used to dominate the war of succession. And whenever the king, after becoming an emperor, if he tries to control the nobility used to assassinate the kings. Are you following this? They are the kingmakers. Yes, they are the kingmakers. And these kingmakers, they used to assassinate the king whenever he tries to extend or exert his control over the king or the nobility. Are you following what I'm trying to say, sir? Is it making sense? Yes. Yes, after the death of Aurangzeb, the nobles, they started becoming more important or more dominant than the ruler. Are you following this, sir? Primarily because majority of the rulers or the kings, they were weak rulers. They were not interested either in administration or in military. I'll give you one example. There is a very famous later Mughal ruler by the name of Muhammad Shah Rangila. And when this person, name itself shows that he is having a colorful life, right? Yes, Muhammad Shah Rangila is his title. Rangila is his title. His original name is Muhammad Shah. Okay, so this Muhammad Shah Rangila, he never used to attend any of the administrative court meetings or any of the military conferences. He never used to attend. In fact, once he enters into his harem, he never used to come out for years together. So private palace mein he used to spend his time in his personal pleasures rather than taking care of administration or military. Okay, so that is the reason why Muhammad Shah Rangila, he is a very famous personality both in Hindustani classical music and also in Kathak dance form, but not in administration. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Yes, his name itself is Rangila. Only Kathak dance form, Hindustani classical music, no administration. Okay, no military meetings. That is the reason why during his period only a major invasion occurred over Mughal Empire called the invasion of Nadir Shah. I'll talk about it later, but I'm just giving one example to you. And there was one more great Mughal emperor called Shah Alam. Okay, his name means what? Shah means emperor, Alam means world, right? Yes. This world emperor, he was so afraid of his nobles that he never entered Delhi for nearly 8 years. He, with his small military contingent of his own, he used to roam around India, but because of the fear of his nobility, he never used to enter into Delhi. So he is the ruler of the world without control over his own capital. Are you understanding this, sir? And the Mughal situation by 19th century, it has become so bad that some of the Mughal princesses, they used to beg in the streets of Delhi. I'm not joking, this is reality. Just before the 1857 revolt, the Mughal princesses, they used to beg in the streets of Chandni Chowk because they did not have proper food or maintenance for themselves. So that is the reason why they used to beg in the streets of Chandni Chowk. That was the situation to which the Mughals have fallen. So I have given 3 examples for the same. How the nobles became more important in succession war than the rulers themselves. This led to substantial weakness in the Mughal Empire. Are you following this, sir? Yes, no proper law of succession, succession wars, nobility dominance, weak rulers, all of these factors combinedly, they led to weakness of the empire. Second factor, is it clear, sir? Yes. Then the third main factor in 18th century India politically is there were numerous external invasions over India. Whenever the central authority or rule it weakens, naturally it will be an invitation for the external invaders, right? Yes. The external invasions, they occurred on multiple occasions. In fact, Nadir Shah's famous invasion and his conquest of Delhi, it occurred in the year 1739. Okay, during Muhammad Shah Rangila's period itself, understanding the weakness of the Mughal emperor, he invaded from northwest of India and he looted India till Delhi. I think he is the one who is famous for carrying away the Kohinoor diamond from India. And along with that, he also carried away the peacock throne from India, which was built during the time of Shah Jahan, and he looted India till Delhi, Nadir Shah. Then after him, his military commander called Ahmad Shah Abdali, he established an independent Afghan empire in Afghanistan. And he invaded India nearly 16 times continuously he invaded India. But his invasions are not for taking control over India, they were only meant to loot India. Are you following this, sir? First Nadir Shah, then Ahmad Shah Abdali. Okay, these two rulers, they in fact invaded India. Then along with that, in the external invasions itself, slowly understanding the weakness of the Mughal emperor, what happened is the European trading companies also started taking advantage of India. European trading companies, they started taking control over the Indian Ocean region. In fact, the Portuguese were able to dominate the Indian Ocean for 100 years. Then after that, they started entering onto the coastal region. They started taking over one port after the other. So because of the weakness of the Central Empire itself, the European trading companies, they also started dominating the Indian political scenario. So I'll just give you one example. During Aurangzeb's time. Okay, so the European trading companies miscalculating the strength of Aurangzeb once they tried to rebel against the Mughal Empire, particularly the English people from Hooghly. Hooghly you might be knowing, right? So Hooghly is in Bengal, right? In Hooghly they had a trading station. From Hooghly they tried to rebel against the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. And in 1690 when this rebellion occurred, Aurangzeb through his military force he was able to brutally suppress the English East India Company. The English governor at that point of time in India is a person called Child, and Child was chained by Aurangzeb troops and he was dragged in front of Aurangzeb. That was the scene till Aurangzeb period. But immediately after the fall of Aurangzeb, what happened? The European trading companies, they started understanding the weakness at the Mughal Empire. Are you getting this, sir? And once they understood the weakness at Mughal Emperor's center, then what they did is they started playing their own political games. They started interfering in Indian politics, started taking over ports in India, started taking over the oceanic sea routes of trade. They started exploiting Indians primarily with the weakness of the central Mughal Emperor. Are you following this, sir? So European trading companies came, external invasions came. Then along with that, these weak rulers, do you expect them to control such a large empire? Is it feasible for them to control such a large empire? No, right? Okay, so definitely that is the reason why immediately within 50 years after the death of Aurangzeb, the political map of India, it got completely transformed. Okay, so this is the political map of India. Okay, so in the mid of 18th century, that is 1764, this is the political map of India. See this, the earlier Mughal Empire, from here to here it used to extend, and from Afghanistan to Ahom kingdom, that is Assam, it used to extend. But now by 1764, see the number of parts and try to find out the Mughal Empire. It is such a small empire. Are you following this, sir? And numerous states were created. I told you about the farmer rebellions, right? The farmer rebellions led to the establishment of the Sikh state. The establishment of the Sikh state. Yes. Then see the extent of the Maratha state. This is also a farmer rebellion against the Mughals, right? Primarily it is a farmers rebellion. Yes. So see the extent of the empire. It used to extend from Attock in Punjab to Cuttack in Odisha. Such huge empire they established rebelling against the Mughals. This is also a farmer rebellion. Then along with these two, here the Jat state is not specified. Okay, but Jats also rebelled in Haryana region, immediately next to the Sikh missiles. It is not mentioned here. Then Satnamis also rebelled in Awadh region, but it was suppressed later. So this way, numerous farmer rebellions occurred against the Mughal Empire. Then, understanding the weakness of the central Mughal Emperor, what happened is, some of the important nobles in the Mughal court, they started establishing independent kingdoms of their own in different parts of India. Okay, the Mughal nobles themselves, they understood the weakness of the central emperor. They started migrating into the Subhas of Mughal Empire. I told about Subha, right? States. And once they migrated to these regions, they started establishing independent kingdoms of their own. Of these Subhas which became independent, the most prominent one is the Bengal Subha, and it was made independent by a person by the name of Murshid Quli Khan. Murshid Quli Khan, he made this province independent from the Mughal Empire. Then similarly, Awadh state was also made independent by a Mughal noble, and his name is Sadat Khan. And similarly, the state of Hyderabad. So this entire geographical extent is Hyderabad state initially. So this was made independent by one of the most prominent Mughals of the nobles of the Mughal court by the name of Chinglichki Khan. His name is Chinglichki Khan. He belongs to a dynasty called Asafjahi dynasty, and he made this big part as independent from the Mughal Empire. Are you following this, sir? So one is Awadh, Bengal and Hyderabad. These states, primarily because they have been formed by the Mughal nobles themselves, these states are usually called as successor states. So this terminology is very important. These states are called successor states. Okay, the states which have been created by the Mughal nobles by breaking away from the central empire are known as successor states. And the Nizam of Hyderabad, unable to control this large territory, what he has done is, he has given a part of it to a family of his own, okay, to his successors only. He broke down this state into two parts and created a new Nawabate, which is known as Nawab of Karnataka. And they had their capital at this place called Arcot, okay, and from Arcot they used to govern this province. The Nizam of Hyderabad from Hyderabad, then Nawab of Bengal from Murshidabad, then Nawab of Awadh from Lucknow. So these are the major regional centers or successor states which have been formed by destroying the central Mughal empire. Are you following this, sir? Then rebel states you have the Maratha state. Then along with Maratha state, Sikh state is also a rebel state against the Mughals, right? Then Jats, Satnamis, these people also rebelled. And when the Mughal central army started becoming weak, one of the significant part of the Mughal army is, okay, these people who are known as Afghans. Afghans in large number were recruited into the Mughal army during the great Mughal period, and understanding the weakness of the central empire, what happened is the Afghan military men in Mughal empire, they also established two states by rebelling against their military commanders. These are known as Farrukhabad and Rohilkhand. These two are Afghan states which are present in Haryana region. Farrukhabad and Rohilkhand are the two states which are being established by the Afghan military men after rebelling against their Mughal authorities. And you might be knowing that in Rohilkhand and Farrukhabad, two important provinces, majority of the people there are in fact people from Afghan descent. So one of these Afghans from Rohilkhand is none other than our own Shah Rukh Khan. He is originally an Afghan, okay, so of Pathan, okay, he is originally a Pathan from Afghanistan. So their family migrated to India as part of the Mughal Empire's army. Then they settled down in Rohilkhand. Okay, so these are the people who are known as the Pathans of Rohilkhand and Farrukhabad. On this also UPSC has asked a prelims question. Very, very important sections. Then after this, what happened is during the peak of Mughal Empire, listen to me carefully, during the peak of Mughal Empire, what the Mughal emperors did is they defeated many states which were present during pre-Mughal times. Pre-Mughal period there are numerous regional dynasties in India, and the Mughals defeated these regional dynasties and they were able to take control over such a large province, right? Primarily they defeated the Rajputs of Rajasthan. Yes. Then along with that, they defeated this very, very important state which is known as Mysore. Mysore state is in fact originally part of the Vijayanagara Empire. Okay, Vijayanagara Empire, it was part of, okay, and after the fall of the Vijayanagara Empire, what happened is this Mysore state is established by one of the noblemen in Vijayanagara Empire. Just like here, okay, then after the fall of the Vijayanagara Empire, some important nobles in the Vijayanagara kingdom called Nayakas, they established this state called Mysore state. Are you getting this, sir? And they were known as Odiyars, and they were also defeated by the Mughal Empire and they were annexed by the Mughal Empire. But once the Mughal Emperor became weak, these states which were earlier independent but briefly under Mughal control they were in, right? So they also started establishing independent states of their own, and these states are known as independent states. Mysore is one such independent state. The Rajput states were few such independent states. Then in Afghanistan there is this empire called Durrani Empire. Can you see this? Afghanistan was only briefly under the control of Mughals. Earlier there used to be an independent dynasty there, okay, so which reasserted itself called Durrani Empire. These states are known as independent states, and this is how India got broken down into numerous subparts during the later Mughal period. Is it making sense, sir? Administrative weakness, military weakness, personal weakness of the rulers, domination by nobility, then along with that breakdown of the empire into successor states, rebel states and independent states is something which occurred during the later Mughal period. Is it making sense? Okay, now shall we have a look at the handout, sir? So can you open the handout on your mobile phones? And the institute has put it forward, right? Handout. So you can see the handout. First section is 18th century India. Polity is given here, right? Yes. So decline of Mughals from 1707 as Aurangzeb dies in Deccan. Okay, in Deccan he dies, and after his death, the fall of the Grand Mughals it occurs. Then later Mughals are not able to handle the empire. It's given there. Then decentralization of polity occurred during this period. Yes. Then three new kinds of states emerged after the decline of the Mughal empire. Three new kinds of states. One is successor, second one is rebel, and the third one is independent states. Is it clear? Now, see this. Okay, so this map is given. Successor states are established by the erstwhile Mughal nobility. Yes, erstwhile Mughal nobility, they established the successor states. Subedars declared themselves as independent. Subedar means the person who is in charge of a Subha is known as Subedar. Okay, you can write it down because it's not given there. Okay, those points you have to write in note, and if you have a printout, you can write it there itself, so that in revision it will become easy for you, right? If all the points are at one place. Yes. So Subedar is the in charge of Subha under Mughal times, during Mughal times. This has been asked as a UPSC prelims questions too. So with respect to Mughal period, the term Subedar refers to. Subedar means what? In charge of state. He is like the governor of state right now. Similar position. Subedar means, okay, in charge of Subha. Subha is province. Subedar is like governor. Yes. Then Bengal, Awadh and Hyderabad are the three important independent states, and Bengal under Murshid Quli Khan, it became independent in the year 1770. It means that 10 years after the death of Aurangzeb, one noble has made Bengal province independent. But don't think of Bengal as just today's West Bengal. It included, or it was a major state at that point of time, which included Bengal on one side and today's Bangladesh. Then along with that, Odisha was also part of this Bengal Subha only. Along with that, Bihar of today is also completely part of the Bengal Subha. Odisha, Bengal, Bangladesh, along with that, Bihar. Four different provinces were put together under the Nawab of Bengal, and Murshid Quli Khan, he made it independent. In fact, this combined province is the richest province in India at that point of time, and it became independent under this ruler called Murshid Quli Khan in 1717, and he was later replaced by a person called Alivardi Khan. And after the death of Alivardi Khan, there was Sirajuddaulah, and Sirajuddaulah is the one who fought against the British in a battle called Battle of Plassey. So 1717 to 1757, only for 40 years the Bengal Subha was independent. Are you following this, sir? Three rulers were there: Murshid Quli Khan, Alivardi Khan and Sirajuddaulah. So only three rulers, and 40 years they remained independent, and in 1757 this is the first state to fall to the British conquest of India. Is it clear? And it is the richest province in India at that point of time. So there then Bengal under Murshid Quli Khan, later replaced by Alivardi. Sirajuddaulah, last independent Nawab of Bengal, and he lost to the English in Battle of Plassey in 1757. Later those dates will be given to you. Now the next one is Awadh, and in Awadh the independence was brought in by a person called Sadat Khan. Okay, his title is Nawab Wazir, or Burhan ul Mulk is his title, and he made Awadh province independent from the Mughal Empire in 1724. And Sadat Khan, he played a very, very important role in Nadir Shah's invasion over India. Remember, see, these kind of stories also will come of help to you when you are solving prelims questions. Okay, see this, Sadat Khan, he made this province independent. After that, the Mughal emperor, he tried to take back this province from the control of Sadat Khan. So what he did is, immediately he wrote a letter of invitation to Nadir Shah to invade India. And when Nadir Shah, the Persian ruler, invaded India, Sadat Khan, he sided with Nadir Shah. And when he wrote a letter to Nadir Shah, he in fact gave a false account of the riches in Mughal empire. Even though it was immensely wealthy, but this person, he wrote that there are rooms and rooms of gold in Delhi. You can loot them if you come to India. Bolke, he made many false promises in order to teach the Mughal emperor a lesson. Are you following this, sir? And when Nadir Shah finally invaded India, he was not satisfied with the loot. Then he asked Sadat Khan to pay all the remaining loot to him. Are you following this, sir? So जो उसको लेना था वो ले लिया और बाद में बोला कि जो आपने लिखा उसका और जो मिला उसका डिफरेंस आपको भरना पड़ेगा. Are you following this, sir? Yes. So now Sadat Khan did not have that kind of money. So because of the pressure put by Nadir Shah, he poisoned himself and he committed suicide. Are you following this, sir? But the essence of this story is Sadat Khan, he supported Nadir Shah's invasion over India. This is very important. So Sadat Khan supported Nadir Shah during Battle of Karna. Is it clear, sir? Now next one is Hyderabad. In Hyderabad, there is a dynasty called Asaf Jahi dynasty which made it independent in 1725. The years are important. They will ask us to arrange chronologically the successor states formation. They will ask a question. 1717 Bengal is first, 24 Awadh is the second, and 25 Hyderabad is the third state. Is it clear? Now the ruler is a person called Chinglichki Khan. Then the title is Nizam ul Mulk is his title, and he is the one who broke down this Carnatic Sultanate, and it remained a subordinate state of the Nizam of Hyderabad from 1740 to 1855. Is it clear, sir? Is it making sense? Now the capital of this Carnatic state is, you can write down the capitals. Bengal's capital is Murshidabad. Awadh's capital is Lucknow. Bengal, Murshidabad is the capital. These things can be asked as questions. Murshidabad, Awadh, Lucknow is the capital. For Awadh, Lucknow is the capital. Hyderabad state, it is Hyderabad only, so it is simple. Now the last one is Carnatic. Carnatic. Okay, Carnatic means not Karnataka. It is in fact part of Tamil Nadu. Okay, but the Nawabite is named as Carnatic Nawabite. That's it. Okay, Carnatic. Its capital is Arcot. A-R-C-O-T. Arcot is the capital. Is it clear? Now these are the states. Now the next one is, what was I? Yes. Okay, this is one more map. It is not given in your handout. Not very important also for us. Okay, now the next one is the rebel state emerged in protest against the Mughal Empire. It's given there, right? Rebel states emerged in protest against the Mughal kings. Marathas, the rebellion occurred under these rulers called Peshwas. You might be knowing about Peshwas, right? I'll just tell one brief background story. In fact, the Maratha Mughal conflict, it started during the time of Aurangzeb itself. Okay, because of Shivaji. Shivaji rebelled against Aurangzeb. After his conquest of Deccan region, Shivaji rebelled against Aurangzeb. But the rebellion of Shivaji against Aurangzeb, it was mainly for the sake of, okay, religious purposes. Primarily it was religious because Aurangzeb is known to be a religious bigot, right? Yes, he destroyed numerous temples in Maharashtra. So because of which reason, so Shivaji rebelled against Aurangzeb and his intention was primarily religious. And along with religious intention, the second intention of Shivaji is he wanted to establish an independent kingdom for himself. Are you following this, sir? So from his capital at Satara, he wanted to establish an independent kingdom against Aurangzeb. But during the lifetime of Aurangzeb, he did not permit Shivaji to have a full-fledged independent state because he regularly raided Maratha region. But Shivaji, unable to tolerate the Mughal attack, he resorted to a kind of warfare called guerrilla warfare. And through guerrilla warfare, he used to fight against Aurangzeb forces. Are you following this, sir? Now, after Shivaji died, Aurangzeb also died in 1707. Then after the death of Shivaji, the real power in Maratha state, it shifted from the family of Shivaji to the family of his prime ministers who are known as Peshwas. Peshwa is nothing but prime minister under Marathas. So the actual control, it shifted into the hands of Peshwa. And of these Peshwas, the most prominent early Peshwa is a person called Balaji Vishwanath. You might be knowing about Baji Rao, right? At least from the movie. Okay, so Baji Rao Mastani, you might be knowing about Baji Rao, right? This person is his father. And this Balaji Vishwanath, what he did is, he was able to sign a treaty with the later Mughal rulers, particularly with a Mughal ruler by the name of Farrukhsiyar. Okay, I'll tell about him more later. Farrukhsiyar is the later Mughal emperor who signed a treaty with Peshwas recognizing the independence of Maratha state. Are you following this, sir? Is it clear? So Balaji Vishwanath, he signed a treaty with Farrukhsiyar, which made the Mughal emperor recognize the independence of Marathas. Till the time of Aurangzeb, did he recognize the independence of Marathas? Never, right? He tried to hunt down Shivaji. Even though he failed, he did not let Shivaji establish an independent empire. But now, the Peshwas, they were able to, through their military might, take advantage of the Mughal emperor's weakness and able to establish an independent kingdom for themselves in Maharashtra. But the Peshwas empire, it is known as, okay, I'll explain this topic here only. Later also we'll talk about it, called Samrajya. Samrajya means empire, right? Okay, the Peshwa Samrajya was established, and in this Peshwa Samrajya, listen to me carefully, the Shivaji's descendants, they were in fact completely sidelined. The main power was in hands of Peshwa, who was present in Pune. And unable to handle the entire Maratha state himself, what he did is he delegated his power to 4 prominent ruling families in Maharashtra. So you might be knowing about some of them. One is Scindias. You might be knowing about Jyotiraditya Scindia, right? So his family belongs to the Peshwa's subordinates in a Maratha state, and their capital was at this place called Gwalior. And the Scindias were able to take over majority of Rajasthan under their control. Are you getting this, sir? First one is Scindias. Then after the Scindias, the second ruling family which was given power by the Peshwas is the Gaikwads. And Gaikwads were able to establish an independent kingdom for themselves in Gujarat region, and their capital was this place called Baroda. You might be knowing Gaikwads of Baroda. Baroda is an important city in Gujarat even today, right? So Vadodara is nothing but Baroda. Okay, Baroda under Gaikwads. Then along with that, there was one more ruling family called Bhonsles. And these Bhonsles, they were dominant within Maharashtra only, and their capital was at this place called Nagpur. Okay, Bhonsles of Nagpur, Scindias of Gwalior, Gaikwads of Baroda, and along with that, there was one more ruling dynasty called Holkars, and they were dominant and they were present in Indore region. You know Indore, Madhya Pradesh? Yes. So 4 ruling dynasties plus Peshwa at Pune. These 5 ruling dynasties put together are known as Maratha Samrajya. And they are the ones who were able to take over the control from Attock in Punjab to Cuttack in Odisha. Are you following this, sir? Attock to Cuttack is their empire. So these are the 5 important ruling dynasties under the name of Marathas. Anyhow, this information is present in the handout later. When we discuss about the British Maratha conflict, I'll talk about these 5 dynasties. Is it clear, sir? Just for your information, I am giving this prior. So just see this. Marathas under Peshwas. In 1719, Mughal Maratha treaty was signed, and Farrukhsiyar and Balaji Vishwanathan, with the mediation of these nobles called Sayyid brothers. Okay, Sayyid brothers are the nobility at that point of time. They forced Balaji Vishwanathan to sign, or they forced Farrukhsiyar to sign a treaty with Balaji Vishwanathan, which led to the establishment of the Peshwas Samrajya. Are you following this, sir? So will you be writing something there? Okay, please write it down. Write it down. The Maratha Samrajya was established. Maratha Samrajya was established through a mediation by the Mughal nobles, called Sayyid brothers. Okay, called Sayyid brothers. There are 2 people. One is a military commander, one was the prime minister. So that is the reason why both of them together are known as Sayyid brothers. Not very important. Their names and stuff are not important for us. Okay, so what did you write? So Maratha Samrajya was established by the Mughal nobles, and Mughal nobles called Sayyid brothers. Is it clear? Rest of information is there, right? Balaji Vishwanathan is there. Then along with that, Farrukhsiyar is there, right? Farrukhsiyar is in fact one of the weakest rulers of the Mughal empire. He also gave a very, very famous farman, okay, to the English East India Company, which led to its dominance over Indian trade too. So I'll talk about it later. Farrukhsiyar, you remember his name. So I talked about 3 later Mughal emperors by now. One is Jahandar Shah, who abolished the Mansab Jagir system and went to Izardari system. Second one is Farrukhsiyar. Third one is Muhammad Shah, Rangila. Fourth one is a person called Shah Alam. Remember, the ruler of the world without the capability to re-enter into his capital. Yes, so 4 people we talked about. We need not remember all of them. Only the most prominent ones we will remember. Is it clear, sir? Now, the next one is their empire extended from Attock to Cuttack. Then the Sikhs also rebelled against the Mughals, okay, under the Sikh military governors who are the military commanders of a panth called Khalsa Panth. About the story of Khalsa Panth, I'll discuss later how it evolved, why it fought against the Mughals, I'll discuss later. But just remember that the Sikhs also established a military brotherhood of their own called Khalsa, and this Khalsa Panth established independent Sikh states called Sikh Missals. And these Sikh Missals were independent Sikh military provinces which were combined together by a very famous Sikh ruler called Ranjit Singh. Okay, Maharaja Ranjit Singh is the one who reunited all these things and established an independent Sikh kingdom in Punjab region. Is it clear, sir? Now just see this. Sikhs under Sikh Missals, that is Sikh military governors. Then Ranjit Singh, unity of all Missals. Missal means Sikh military governor province is called Missal, and separate Sikh state was established in 1800 which united the Missals. Is it clear? Now next one is the Jats also rebelled against the Mughals, okay, under the rulership of Gokul, Churman Jat and Surajmal, okay, with the capital at Bharatpura. You might be knowing about this place called Bharatpura, right? There is a very famous bird sanctuary here. Yes, Bharatpur bird sanctuary. So it is part of Rajasthan, right? So this Bharatpur region, and in 1761 they also took a control over Agra province too. Agra was the second capital of the Mughals till the time of Aurangzeb. But these people, they were able to take over the second capital of Mughals, that is Agra. Except for the fort of the central government, all other or entire Agra came under the control of the Jats. Is it clear, sir? Their capital was at this place called Bharatpura, and the main rebels were Gokul, Churman Jat and Surajmal. Is it clear? It's given there, right? Now the next one is 2 Afghan kingdoms were also established. I talked about the Afghan kingdoms, right? Afghan rebels, and these were established, one at Rohilkhand and the second one is at Farrukhabad. It's not given there, right? It's given. Dates are also given. Yes, with dates it is given, right? So one is Rohilkhand in 1721 and Farrukhabad in 1730. Okay, 1713, these 2 states were established. Now there were some independent states also. One is the Durain Empire in Afghanistan, which came under the Mughals, but it became independent again. So in Afghanistan, under this person called Ahmad Shah Abdali. Then along with that, Mysore's under Odir. I talked about them, right? So they are later passed on into the hands of Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan. I'll talk about this story later. Then Odirs were the Nayakas under the Vijayanagara Empire. Nayaka means noble. Are you following this, sir? Okay, Nayaka means noble, and they were the independent rulers. I talked about this story too, right? Now the next one is Travancore. Travancore is also one independent state under the rulers who are known as Marthands. Okay, and the ruler here who made this state independent is a person called Marthand Varman. Okay, then the next one is Mewar and Marwar in Rajasthan. They also became independent, but later they came under the control of Marathas. You can see the orange color region map mein. So they came under the control of Marathas, and their independence is primarily because of the religious policies of Aurangzeb. Is it clear? Now the next one is element of political decentralization can be clearly seen here. Yes. Then after the element of see, now you just have a look at this question. I'll dictate one question, please write it down. This is a previous year UPSC question, please write it down. Clarify how mid 18th century mid 18th century India, how mid 18th century India was, how mid 18th century India was beset, okay, beset with a spectre, of a fragmented polity. With a spectre of fragmented polity is the question. Okay, see this question. So how mid-18th century India is haunted or beset by a spectre of fragmented polity was the question. This is a 10-marker question in the UPSC GS mains paper of 2017. This question has been asked. Okay, now naturally you will have some questions. Okay, the language is very difficult. What is the meaning of this term? Spectre would be your question, right? Yes. Okay, so very difficult English word. Usually we don't use it in conversations. Okay, and we don't see this word anytime in any newspapers also. Generally you don't see this word, right? So he said that beset by a spectre of fragmented polity. What is the meaning of the word spectre? Any guess? Huh? Ghost. Okay, someone checked Google, or do you know about it? Yes, very good. Okay, there is a very good James Bond movie also with the same name. Spectre means ghost. So the question is, how mid-18th century India was beset with the ghost of a fragmented polity was the question. Okay, naturally many students, because they did not understand the word spectre, okay, they were not knowing what to write. Okay, but in UPSC I think you people might be knowing that there will be a Hindi translation below the English question. Yes, whenever you don't understand the English version of the question, then naturally, okay, you have to read the Hindi version of the question. Then things will be more clear for you. Yes or no? But if you don't know Hindi too, then God only can save you. Okay. Okay, at least it is expected that you know decent enough Hindi. So if in Hindi translation, if you are able to understand, then the question becomes very simple, right? There is a ghost of fragmented polity here. Are you able to see it? Yes. So ghost of fragmented polity can be clearly written, right? So how the Mughal empire destroyed, then after that how different kinds of states evolved. You can draw a small map also of the same and show how different states have evolved in different regions. Then after that you can write a conclusion. Then simply the question can be answered, right? So whatever we discussed, okay, now it was the answer for this question. Yes, but the challenge here is whatever we discussed over the period of last 1.5 hour, you have to write it in 150 words. I might have used minimum to minimum of 2000 words. Okay, yes or no? But you have to cut it short. Are you understanding this, sir? Okay, that is more important. You have to cut it short and write it into a 150 word answer with a clear map, introduction and conclusion. Please make it a point to practice this answer for tomorrow. I'll give a answer structure also for you guys. Okay, at least every day you try to practice 2 answers along with my class. Yeah, I'll sit at the end of the class, I'll correct each and every one of your papers. Okay, then after that I'll give some suggestions to you. Because answer writing also let us learn parallel. Okay, otherwise what will happen is UPSC preparation will become a 5-year plan. Panchvarsha Pranalika. First year you will sit and listen to classes. Okay, second year you will start answering questions. Okay, that way it will go on and so forth. So we should not do that. Okay, so it's better to write answers parallelly. So please write the answer for this question for tomorrow. Is it clear? Okay, 150 words, try to make it short and crisp. Okay, and you try to buy one UPSC rule sheet book. Okay, rule sheets will be there. Okay, so rule sheets, so that you will be able to judge the space that you are using up for an answer. Is it alright? So proper structurally we will write the answer. Now see this prelims question. This has been asked in 2020 UPSC prelims. See the question. With reference to Indian history, which of the following statements is or are correct? First statement is the Nizamat of Arcot emerged out of Hyderabad state. Yes, Nizamat of Arcot means Carnatic state only. Yes. Then second one is the Mysore kingdom emerged out of the Vijayanagara empire. Yes, that is also correct. Then third one is Rohilkhand kingdom was formed out of the territories occupied by Ahmad Shah Durrani. Is it correct? It was formed even before by the military men of the Mughal empire itself. This state was formed. 1739 is the year when Nadir Shah invaded India. After him only Ahmad Shah Abdali's invasions occurred. But the Rohilkhand kingdom was established in 1712 itself. Are you understanding the specificity of this question? Okay, very high level information they are using as part of making questions here. And this is 3 statements are given there. Yes, so it means that one question may 3 questions are hidden. You following this, sir? So the third statement is wrong. 1 and 2 are the answers for this question. Where is I? Here. Okay, so this question has been asked in UPSC prelims of 2020. So I'm just giving this information to you to understand the significance of each fact. Okay, so why you should remember, I'm giving questions. Is it clear, sir? So is it making sense? 1 and 2 is the only correct answer. Nowadays they have made the questions also a little more different these days. They are asking 1 pair correct, 2 pair corrects. Have you seen the last year's prelims paper? So they are doing that. So which makes elimination method also very difficult. You have to remember all the facts which have been given in this section. Is it clear? So wherever there is high importance, I'll give the questions also there in order to make you understand the relevance and for you to remember them in the long run. Is it clear? Now the next one is external invasions also occurred during the same time. First external invasion is invasion of Nadir Shah in 1739. Okay, during the period of Muhammad Shah Rangila. Okay, Muhammad Shah is his name, title is Rangila, and this battle is known as Battle of Karnal. Okay, then Persian emperor, he is conquered Delhi, carried away Kohinoor, Peacock Throne, etc., the wealth to Persia. Then next invasion, it occurred during the time of Ahmad Shah Abdali from the period 1748 to 1767. So there is the time period of his invasions. He invaded India during a span of 20 years. For 13 times he invaded India. And one of the most famous invasions of Ahmad Shah Abdali led to the third battle of Panipat. Okay, third battle of Panipat. Okay, so in which, see this, Shivaji and Aurangzeb, they fought during their lifetime, right? Okay, multiple occasions they had conflicts with each other. Okay, they continuously fought against each other. But in this third battle of Panipat, when Ahmad Shah Abdali invaded India, in defense of the Mughal emperor, the Maratha successors, okay, they went in defense of the Mughal emperor against Ahmad Shah Abdali. The third battle of Panipat is primarily a war between the Mughal empire and Ahmad Shah Abdali. Because the Mughal emperor, by then he became very weak, the Marathas took charge of Indian defense, and as Mughal emperor's army, they went and fought against Ahmad Shah Abdali in this famous battle called Third Battle of Panipat. But unfortunately they lost this battle. The significance about this battle I'll discuss later. Are you understanding this, sir? But usually what happens in normal conversations and in most of the media, the conflict between Mughals and Marathas is given high importance, right? But their collaboration, okay, they're fighting for each other's sake is not given any significance. Primarily because, okay, so today religion-based politics, they want to promote conflicts between majority and minority. They take the instances of history's conflicts, but not collaboration. This is one such collaboration when the Marathas bled for the Mughal emperor. Are you following this, sir? Is it clear? Now, this is the third battle of Panipat, which was fought in 1761. Then after this, the European companies also established numerous factories. You see in your handout, same thing is given. So numerous factories were established, and they also got complete control over naval trade of India. One is Portuguese established their center at Goa, French established their center at Puducherry, okay, and Chandor Nagar is one more place, okay, which is a province in Bengal, okay, Chandor Nagar. Then English established their center in Kolkata. Then along with that, Dutch established their center in Machilipatnam or Mausla. Okay, these are the important places, okay, where the European trading companies established their initial factories. Then they had complete monopoly over Indian seas, and militarily they are more advanced than Indian rulers, right? Talked about it, technological dominance of the English. Yes, so this is the story. Now, administration. I talked about these things, but it is not clearly given there. Please write down some statements. Administration. Administrative changes, you write. Administrative changes, you write. Administrative changes during the great Mughals. Right now, during the great Mughals, there was an efficient administrative system. There was an efficient administrative system based on Mansabdar Jagirdar system. Based on Mansab Jagir system. Mansab Jagir system. based on Mansab Jagir system, which is scientific, and less exploitative of the masses, Okay, primarily because I'll just give you one hint to you. In Mansab Jagir system, the revenue collection, it used to happen by a scientific system called survey and measurement system, wherein the Mughal emperor used to send his revenue surveyors who used to go to every plot of land, measure it, assess the quality of the land, and after doing that, what he used to do is he used to fix up the revenue that the farmer has to pay. Are you following this, sir? Then naturally the farmers will be less exploited in this system rather than a system which is based on auction of all land. Then will there be any control over the central government on Izardar? No, right? He will exploit more. Yes, but in Mansab Jagir system, it is based on survey and settlement. Please write it down. Okay, less exploitative of the masses, as it is based on survey and settlement system. Survey and settlement system. Okay, so with survey and settlement, I think you can understand, right? So every plot of land of the farmer will be measured, its quality will be assessed, and based on his previous production, his revenue will be fixed up. Then the farmer will not be exploited, right? Are you following this, sir? Whereas in this system called Izardari system, there will be large scale exploitation because it is auction based and it is not scientific method of revenue collection, right? Are you following this, sir? Yes, so please write it down. But this system, this means here Mansab Jagir system.
Sir, what was the need that changes to Jagir?
Because, okay, in such a large country like India, is it convenient or easy to measure every plot of land? Are you following what I'm trying to say? That too, for rulers who are not interested in administration, it is even more difficult job, right? Are you following this, sir? Okay, so going to every plot of land, measuring it, okay, surveying it, settling with the farmers is a very difficult job for weak or inefficient rulers. It's not only just about the Mughal Empire. In Indian history, whenever the rulers are efficient, whosoever are considered to be good administrators, they will take up survey and settlement. Whereas the rulers who are inefficient, usually they take up this system which is known as rough assessment based system. And Izardari is a rough assessment based system. No scientific method is involved here. Take the case of great rulers of India, okay, great administrators. You might be knowing about Alauddin Khilji, right? He settled his revenue system on the basis of survey and settlement only. Then after that, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, you might be knowing about him, okay, even though positive, negative, whatever it might be. So you might be knowing about him also, right? He is also a good administrator and his method is based on survey and settlement. Shivaji, survey and settlement. Sri Krishna Devaraya, Vijayanagara Empire, same survey and settlement. Akbar, same survey and settlement. It means that whenever the ruler is efficient, concerned about people's welfare, he will take up survey and settlement. When the ruler is inefficient and he is only concerned about the money that he can make, he will move to rough assessment based system wherein the farmers will be exploited. Are you following this, sir? Okay, so that is the case. So please write it down. Where was I? Izardari, but this system, okay, system was abandoned and replaced by Izardari system. Izardari, okay, spelling of Izardari, okay, it's given here. Can you see it? Izardari, Izardari, Izardari system. So in bracket you write auction based system. Izardari is auction based system, okay, during the time of Jahandar Shah. Write it down. During the time of Jahandar Shah, 1712. 5 years after death of Aurangzeb, okay, all entire Mansab Jagir system was replaced with the system called Izzardari system. Is it clear? Yes. Now next one is this led to see, please check the handout once. Okay, this led to this crisis called Jagirdari or Jamindari crisis, which led to agrarian rebellions in India. So there you write one statement. Izzardari system led to agrarian rebellions in India. Agrarian rebellions in India. Agrarian rebellions in India. Okay, example, Maratha, Sikh, Jat and Satnami, you write. Maratha, Sikh, Jat and Satnami. Okay, Maratha, Sikh, Jat and Satnami. So these are the rebellions which occurred during this period. Okay, so is it making sense, sir? Yes. Now you write absence, second statement you write, absence of a clear law of succession. Absence of a clear law of succession also led to civil war. Also led to civil war. Civil war means a war within the country is called civil war. Civil war and domination by nobles. And domination by nobles. And so in 18th century India, there is also no sense of nationalism among Indians, right? Indians were divided into numerous language groups, religious groups, caste groups. So this way there were numerous internal divisions within the society and there was no strong sense of nationalism among Indians. Is it clear, sir? So you write that is the last statement. Administrative changes mean, or there was no sense of nationalism among Indians. No sense of nationalism among Indians. No sense of nationalism among Indians, which made the European entry into India. Which made the European entry into India easy. Which made the European entry into India easy. Okay, so we'll stop. That's the these are the administrative factors. I think this makes pretty much, it sums up the issue, right? Yes, the political situation of India. I think it's pretty clear for you. So whichever additional points are there, okay, so here and there I might have talked about some Mughal rulers and other things, they will come again. Is it alright? So this finishes the topic of the political situation of India in 18th century. So how does the classes usually run? Will there be a break in between or continuous? Okay, so clear cut answer for this question. Okay, so usually there is a break for 15 minutes or how long? 30 minutes break. Okay, after 2.5 hours, 30 minutes break, right? So we can take the class for 15 more minutes, right? So we'll take up the class for 15 more minutes. I'll explain one more topic. After that, you can have your break. Okay, so now listen to me. So political aspect of India is clear, right? Now, once the political aspect of India in 18th century is asked as a question, naturally the economic and social situation of India can also be asked as questions, right? Yes, so they can give a question that, okay, even though politically India was weak in 18th century, economically it was in fact one of the richest country in the world. Critically examined bolke, they can give a question to you. Are you following this, sir? Now, what is the Indian situation is, India is like, okay, the typical rich man. Okay, but this rich man, he is politically very weak and socially he is very ignorant. Okay, then what will happen to a rich man who is weak politically and socially who is ignorant? What will happen to him? A rich man is in society, but he is not powerful, and at the same time he is also a little stupid in his mind. Then what will happen to him? He will be looted, right? Simple. So India was typically like this rich man who was politically weak and socially he was ignorant. Are you getting this, sir? Now we will try to understand, okay, how this rich man became rich, what kind of systems made him rich. Okay, we will try and understand this. And I told you already that India had nearly half of global GDP was concentrated in India, global manufacturing GDP. 2/3 of global trade it used to pass through India, primarily because India used to be the center of the global trade and commerce. Okay, the global trade and commerce, they used to occur. Okay, you can draw some simple thematic diagrams in your answers too. Okay, that is very important part. So I'll try and help you with some diagrams here. So listen to me. So let's suppose this is Europe and this is, okay, Southeast Asia and China, and we have India in between in the Indian Ocean region. Yes. So what used to happen is, in medieval times and early modern period, there were ships' capability was very weak. There were no ships built to directly travel from Southeast Asia and China to Europe or vice versa. So what used to happen is, the Southeast Asian countries and China, whatever goods they wanted to export to Europe through sea route, they used to dump them in India. And in India, the goods used to change hands. They used to come into the hands of Indian merchants, and from India, the goods were again re-exported to Europe. Are you following this, sir? Is it making sense? And main product which used to come from China is either they used to export silk or they used to export porcelain. Porcelain is one more product that they used to export. Okay, these are the two main products they used to export through sea. Then from China to Europe, there also used to be a land route which is known as the famous Silk Route, right? And we're knowing about Silk Route? Yes. So this part of Silk Route region was also dominated by Indian traders, particularly the Silk Route which used to pass through Central Asia region. So that Silk Route, it was dominated by Indian traders, and sometimes so the goods which are passing through Central Asia, they were exported to Gujarat region, that is a port town of Gujarat, and from the port town of Gujarat, they used to be exported to the European world. So it means that India is playing a very important commercial role here. Yes, that is the reason why India in 17th and 18th centuries is known as entry port for the global trade and commerce. Entry port means port of exchange. Simple terms may, entry port means a port of exchange is called entry port. Then along with being this entry port, one more important thing about India is also a global manufacturing powerhouse. Okay, you name the product, Indian craftsmen used to produce it. Primarily, the major items of export from India is Indian cotton textiles. And the Indian cotton textiles in the European world, sometimes they were more costly than the silk textiles from China. There used to be very prominent cotton textiles, and along with cotton textiles, Indians also used to export silk textiles also from India to the European world. There used to be expert craftsmen in India who were named as ustads at that point of time. Ustad means any expert craftsman is usually given the title of ustad. And these ustads, they used to produce many sought after items in European world, and primarily our items of export are some cotton textiles, one of which is very prominent one called calico. And the calico, it was mainly exported from Kerala region, from the port town of Calicut. But apart from Kerala, rest of India also used to produce this calico, which is a coarse variety of cotton. Coarse means thick variety. Thick variety of cotton they used to produce, and they used to export in large quantities to the European world. And this was a cheap item, okay, which was exported primarily for the sake of poor people in Europe. Are you following this, sir? Then along with this calico, there used to be a very costly product called muslin. Okay, so you might have heard about muslin, right? Muslin is a very fine variety cotton textile which is primarily exported from Bengal region, with its centers at Murshidabad and Dhaka. These are the two important cities from where muslin variety cotton, which is a fine variety of textile, used to be exported. So they used to make this muslin at such a fine variety that a muslin which is 6 feet long could be folded into a small matchbox. Okay, that is the kind of variety which they used to make, and they used to export this muslin in large number to the European world. And the main demand for muslin, it used to come from the rich and prosperous people in the European world. Second item. Then the third item that we used to export is a fine variety of silk textile which is known as patola. Here patola is a silk variety, okay, which is usually silk embroidered with gold or silver threads is known as patola. And this patola is a specialty item of Gujarat. What used to happen is from silk route they used to get raw silk to Gujarat, and in Gujarat the weavers used to work on this silk and produce this fine variety textile which is known as patola, and patola is also in great demand in the European world. You getting this, sir? Three varieties of textile: calico, muslin and patola. They were exported in large number to the European world. Then along with these three, there used to be a variety which is known as kalamkari, which has been asked as a question in UPSC also. Kalamkari textile is one more fine variety of textile which was exported from India. It is also a cotton textile, but the uniqueness of this textile is it used to carry hand drawn paintings on the textile. Kalamkari. Kalam means pen, right? Kari means pen work. Okay, pen work based textiles. These are specialty items from this port town called Machilipatnam or Mausala. I talked about Machilipatnam, right, where Dutch established their factory. So these kalamkari textiles in large number, they were exported from Machilipatnam. Then apart from kalamkari, Indians also used to export a very fine variety cotton textile which is known as chintz. Fifth variety of cotton textile is chintz. And this chintz, it is a block printed variety of cotton textile. Block printing means what? First you will make a dye, okay, with clay or wood. Then you immerse it into a ink, and after taking it out you are going to print the same design onto a cotton textile. Then it is known as block printed variety cotton textile. Are you understanding this, sir? Right now also many textiles are made with this fashion. Okay, chappa it is known as. So usually they cut the design onto either wood or other things. Then after immersing it into dye, they are going to print it onto textiles. Are you following this, sir? Usually during marriages and other festivals, these kind of chappas are used in order to draw rangolis on one side, and along with that hand designs are also made with the help of these chappas, right? Might have seen this, yes or no? So they were used for producing cotton textiles which are known as chintz, and chintz is a major export item from Golconda region. So these are the varieties of textiles which we used to export, 5 different varieties. And apart from these 5 varieties of textiles, India is also very well known for the export of numerous raw materials to the European world. And of raw materials, there are mineral raw materials, agricultural products also used to be exported in large measure to the European world. And of the agricultural products, the main export item is sugar on one side. Then along with sugar, India was also a major export station for wheat and rice also to the Western world and Arabian Peninsula at that point of time. Arabian world, Middle East, for these regions, because they are desert regions, right? So they don't produce agricultural products very easily. Yes, it is very difficult for them. So we used to export our agricultural products like rice, wheat, sugar to the Arab world and the European world too. It's primarily because if you see at Indian climatic conditions are suitable to produce 3 agricultural crops, right? Okay, we have Kharif, Rabi and Zaid. So 3 agricultural seasons are there. Yes. When it comes to India, we can produce 3 agricultural crops which is not possible in any other prominent part of the world. In remote regions somewhere or other they are produced, but India is the only country where 3 agricultural crop cycles are possible. Whereas in European world, because of the harsh winters of Europe, they have only 1 agricultural season. Yes or no? 6 months they will be under snow. Will they be able to cultivate any crops there? Obviously they will not be able to produce any crops during winter. They usually only have 1 agricultural season, whereas India had 3 agricultural seasons. Because of the 3 agricultural seasons, India was able to support a large amount of population when compared to the rest of the world. Because when agricultural productivity is high, automatically the population will increase. Yes. So 3 agricultural seasons we used to have, and we had enough not only for our consumption but for also export to the rest of the world also. We had sufficient food items, sugar, then along with that wheat, rice, all agricultural raw materials or agricultural products, they were exported from India to the European world. And of the agricultural exports, the most important one is the export of spices to the Western world. The European world was essentially dependent on the spices of India. Primarily the reason being, so I just told about just one agricultural season in European world. Just listen to this story. Okay, what happens is, in European world, the winters are usually very harsh, and during winters, apart from non-production of agricultural crops, there is also no fodder for animals. Fodder means what? Okay, yes, their own food is known as fodder, right? Okay, like grass they eat, okay, then other kind of things they usually are unable to produce fodder. So what happens is, in European world, with the start of winter, unable to provide food for the animals, at the start of every winter, they resort to large scale culling of animals. Culling means what? They kill the animals in large number. And after killing them, they are going to preserve their meat during winter. In a country like India, because of tropical climate, the meat will get spoiled, right? But in European world, it is already cold climate. So even after culling, they will be able to preserve the meat. And even people can consume the same meat throughout winter. So they will kill majority of their cattle during winter. And this preserved meat, it will become consumable only with the addition of spices. Without spices, people cannot eat this cold meat. Only addition of spices will make it palatable and digestible to people. That is the reason why they were essentially dependent on the spices of India. That too, spices will be produced only in tropical regions. They cannot be produced in temperate regions. That is the reason why, even from ancient times, this spice market was dominated by India, and Europeans had a great demand for Indian spices because of this reason. So spices we were exporting agricultural products, we were exporting manufactured goods also in large number. Then along with that, mineral raw materials also we used to export. Primary mineral raw material that we used to export is a material called saltpeter, and we used to export it in large number from Bihar region. So saltpeter is nothing but it is potassium nitrate, and usually saltpeter is used to produce gunpowder. It means that by exporting saltpeter to Europe, what we did is we helped them in producing gunpowder, and with the same gunpowder they were able to take control over India. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So that is why technology and science are more important. Are you getting this, sir? We used to use saltpeter just to cool water, but what they did is they used the same saltpeter in order to produce gunpowder, through which they were able to take control of India. Are you following this, sir? So we used to export saltpeter from this region which is known as Bihar. And along with that, India is the country which used to export a lot of what is it called? Indigo. Indigo is a dyeing agent, right? Dyeing means coloring agent. Okay, indigo gives its blue color, right? So indigo is also one of the major item of export from India to the European world. That is the reason why majority of our airlines today are also named after these products. You see, SpiceJet is there. Okay, Indigo Airlines is there. Yes or no? Why did we name? Because the European world knows that where this flight is coming from. Without telling that it is Indian flight, they will know. Because SpiceJet means spices, India. Indigo means Indigo, India. Automatically this connection they will be able to establish. That is the reason why the majority of the airlines in India are named after these products only. Primarily because it will give a market understanding to the European world very easily. Are you following this, sir? So this way we used to export indigo, saltpeter, cotton textiles, silk textiles, agricultural products also in large number we used to export to the European world. Naturally this trade will be profitable to Indians. Yes, we are exporting so many things. Now the Europeans, when they were buying these products from India, naturally they wanted to sell some products of their own also in India. Any trader will think this way only. I am buying something from you. I expect you also to buy something from me. This is how usually the trade transaction happens. Now, the European world at that point of time, they were mainly producing woolen textiles. Are you following what I'm trying to say? But, in India, because of the climatic conditions of India, is woolen textiles a necessity for Indians? Now it has become fashionable to wear winter wear, but earlier Indians never used to wear any special dresses during winter, except for some northern regions. That too, we had enough sheep of our own to produce woolen textiles of our own. So there was no requirement for the woolen textiles from Europe. Then along with that, agriculture wise they can't compete with India. Already they have a deficit of their own. They can't export agricultural products. One more product that they could export is they were experts in making wine. So wine is one product, but Indians did not have great demand for wine too. So what was happening is, in this trade between India and European world, Indians are exporting a lot many items to the European world, but we are not buying any European products in return. Then, in order to buy the Indian products, they need to bring something which is valuable in India. And what is valuable in India throughout times? Gold. Okay, so one hunger to which there is no end in India is the hunger for gold, right? Yes or no? Now what we used to demand? We used to demand the Europeans to bring their own gold and silver into India in order to buy these products. And all this gold, it found its route to either the temples or the palaces of the kings or onto the bodies of Indian women. Yes or no? Usually gold is having this destination, 3 destinations are there. Okay, so these 3 destinations the gold used to find its path to. And India became a sink of global gold at that point of time. All the gold of the world, it used to travel across the world, and finally it used to find its resting place in India. Once it enters into India, again it will never go out. Because we have such great inclination and possession of gold is something which we are very interested in. Yes, once it enters into India, it will never go out because we are not buying any products from the European world, and at the same time Indians have a great liking towards gold. Once it comes, it will sink here only. India became a major sink of gold, and that is the reason why it is at that point of time known as golden sparrow of the East. You might have heard this, right? Okay, Soner Chidiya, usually it is known as golden sparrow of East, primarily because our land used to be the destination for the global gold, and global gold, it used to flow into India because of this process of trade and commerce. Naturally, what will happen? The European traders will start thinking, if we continue our trade in this fashion, all our gold will go to India. Yes or no? Naturally, they will be afraid about this. So, because of this fear only, to turn this trade into their favor, they started taking political control over India, because they cannot beat the Indian craftsmen at their craft. Their craft they cannot be beaten. That is the reason why we will take political control in order to force the craftsmen to work for us. Are you understanding this, sir? I am giving the basis for colonialism also. Why they came here? Okay, so this is the story. This is the economic riches of India. So more about it we'll discuss after break. We take a break for half an hour. Okay, come back recharged. Then 2.5 hours more class. Okay, so that's the case. Are you people able to follow me? Yes. Okay. So if you want any changes to be done in class, please intimate me. I'll be able to adjust to your specific requirements. There is no problem for me. Okay, so that's the case. But